I hear the bees buzzing. They must be working the flowers. There's flowers. It's April. I can't believe it. I'm so excited. They're probably working the aloe veras. These are aloe vera plants. Gary brought them over a while ago. They were bought at the 99-cent store by my friend. He planted a little plant. See, you probably see the bees there. And they spread into my daughter's yard. She didn't want them. Well, she didn't want them all. And Gary went and brought them over here, and now they're spreading all over. Hello, hello, hello. It's Robbie from Southern California, and spring is in the air. Still a little cool for certain plants to plant, but I'm starting the zucchini. I've got a ton of watermelon plants. I don't know if they'll make it till the weather warms up, but you know what? Heck, if it doesn't make it, they'll be compost and I'll get more going in succession. Anyways, let's walk around. I have so much to say, I'm sure I will forget half of it. Not a lot of the solar fountains are going to be running right now because we are cloudy. I don't know if you can see that, but we are cloudy. So we'll kind of walk through. I need to get a solar pump. I've got one in here, but it just kind of trickles down the rock. There's nothing in my meadow. I love my meadow. So I will be doing a lot of different things here. The onions, actually, the walking onions have done really, really well. See how I put rocks around it? That actually helps hold water. I wanted to see if the deer would eat it. They didn't touch it. So I decided I'm going to probably put some more walking onions. I've got some succulent plants. I bought them a long time ago. They were they're in that container over there. I had a whole bunch. I went to some plant show once, and I just went nuts buying them. And then they kind of sat in the corner, and they didn't do anything. So I'm starting to dig them up and find them. I'm going to plant them in the bricks here, but I don't want to plant too many because I want to be able to get into this pond as I work. And then, as you can see, look at the pomegranate tree. Can you imagine? Grown from seeds that I didn't want, in my compost, easiest thing to grow. You eat a pomegranate, chew it up, don't swallow the seeds, spit them out in the pot, and they will grow. And you can transplant those so easy. Look at that. My little rosemary is finally going to take off. It was real tiny. It was a tiny cutting, and I'm really excited about that. So that's going to turn into a big bush. Oh, I've heard deer don't like rosemary. Well, I don't know if they don't like to eat it, but I will tell you something. They are smashing my bush. I'll show you later if I remember, because they're sleeping on the rosemary. Maybe it gets rid of ticks. Here is the other pond. There's no water fountain in here. All of these have mosquito fish. So it works out really, really well. So I need to get something in here. I have an idea of what I'm going to put in here. I want to clean up some of the moss that's growing in there. Now, the reason I am not cleaning these all up, I will be taking on a little bit, is both of these we know are completely full of dragonflies. Probably the bathtub as well, because when I started to pull out some of the hair algae, there was nymphs, dragonfly nymphs all over. So Gary said he would prefer if I just give it another month or so. Once the weather really warms up, they'll all come out. And then I can get in there and clean a lot of that out, because believe you me, all that's going to grow right back. So for now, I'll work around it and be very careful if I do remove any, kind of push it to the side. So if there is any nymphs in there, the dragonflies, they'll crawl back into the water. And then I'm going to put a fountain in the center. I don't want to pull, these are weeds, but they're actually wild rocket. I don't want to pull this yet because I love this. I threw a bunch of seed in here. See how Gary put the rocks around? We're making like a meadow. I wanted a meadow, just a little meadow. So I've got the sugar cane. I'm not sure if it'll make it. I've got a little moringa in the back, still in a pot, and I threw some flower seeds is what I was telling you. I actually also threw some tomatoes in here, tomatillos. I think I threw peppers, I don't know. So whatever grows, that will be fine. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Let me show you here. There's the rabbit hole. See how she piled up the dirt there? I have not seen the baby rabbits, but she had babies. She made a hole and then she buried them. That's what they do, the rabbits we have here. And then she goes and takes care of them and buries them back. But once they get big enough, she'll keep the hole open. So has she moved them yet under the trees? I don't know. I haven't seen them, but she pops up and shows up here a lot. So we'll see. Okay, the wall. You know what? I'll do the wall, and then I'll step back and show you the chair garden. And then we'll come back and continue on. I'm working on this right now. I haven't really planted anything. This one's empty, so I'm going to get that. There's no holes yet. This moringa, I don't think made it, so I'm going to put something else in there. This is just seeds coming up. There's tomatoes. Now, if the tomato plants take off before I get to it, I might leave a tomato plant up against the wall here. And the same thing here. These are last year's squash. Yeah, they're growing, but they shouldn't be doing that. And then this is a pepper tree. You don't want pepper trees. No. You know what a pepper tree is. It's the big thing that the Cooper hawks have a nest in right now. And they nest in there every year. This is the third year. But they're so big that the last thing you want is a pepper tree. Well, it's compost. So I'm going to take everything out of here too, because I definitely want to get zucchini. Same thing in there. This is all wild stuff. Last year's squash. It's going to be a zucchini of some sort, but I do want this all out. Geranium on the bottom in the ground so it catches water from the totes. Now these two are from last year and they look so beautiful that I may leave them. Again, I'll see when I get there. That's a zucchini. Actually labeled, see? It's on a tote lid stake with a cottage cheese container lid cut off. On the top, stapled on, says zucchini. So I know that's zucchini. This is zucchini. This is the first one I planted. Look how beautiful. Look how beautiful. So that's a true zucchini. Should get zucchini off of my first plant if nothing happens to it on that one. Then I still have to do all this. And I know, I'll tell you something. I don't know what happened here. It's from my granddaughter. She's composting here. You do not compost plastic. So when I get ready, I'll just take that out and put that in the recycle bin. But all in all, everything else is fine. There's all kinds of stuff. Oh, look at that. That's our stink bug. They're crazy little things. When they start breeding, you know, he doesn't belong in here. When they start breeding, oh, I'll have to come back and get them later. They'll chase you around the yard. Yeah, I'll come back and get him later. I'll toss him on the ground. He probably can climb out. Then this one I've got to redo. It's almost done. I just want to freshen it up. They're all doing really good. I lifted all of them you saw early on, and there's no tree roots yet. Hopefully there won't be another geranium underneath. If you're planting in a yard and you've got soil underneath, don't forget to plant something underneath where you've got drain holes. This is the squash I did the video on. They're not going to stay. They won't grow. They look beautiful. We talked about it in that last video. They look beautiful, but I'll end up with a ton of plants, a ton of squash, but it won't grow right. You'll end up with little ones. You'll end up with blossom end rot because it's not growing right, doesn't have enough nutrients. I mean, think about it. Each one's got all those roots fighting in that container. Even if they were on the ground, they'd be fighting with each other. So it's too many, too close, and we'll do something when I get to it. And this is last year's plant. This is last year's plant. I don't want to be leaving them, but when I get to it, I'll probably compost it. Being that they made it through the winter, they will try when spring comes. Now this one is the same thing. We talked about it in that last video, and there's two of them in here, and they're doing so well. Oh, it's a wanderer. See, that's what happens to a lot of seeds that you have that you think are, let's say, zucchini, and then you grow the seeds, and then they turn into something else. Doesn't mean the fruit won't be good. But the thing is, you don't know if it's going to stay compact or wander. This is going to leave. That's okay. There are two in here. They're doing really good. If I was smart, I would take this out and put a two system in there. Compost in place, second bucket, go watch the video. Compost in here, and these two will do great. And if they're wandering, I'll need a trellis. I don't want them all over the ground. So let's come back to the box garden and let's walk over to the chair garden, in which I haven't done anything. But what you're going to see through here is I am now working. I am now doing things. I'm now starting to get things done because we're really in spring and I want to be ready. I don't want to wait too long. My poor tree. This one is doing really good. It's a nectarine that came up from seed in our yard, and Gary brought it over to me and put it here. And look at, there's about 2 dozen fruit, maybe just under 2 dozen fruit on it. We'll see how long that lasts because the deer come through. They haven't touched that one, but the deer are nibbling on this. This was the avocado tree I was going to take out. It came up in the wood chips. When Gary brought the wood chips, there must have been, look at that, the roots are above the ground. It came up and I was going to pull it out, and then Gary said, no, leave it. So I left it, and we'll see what happens, but they are nibbling. If I wanted to stop them, I can stop them, and I'll show you later on how. Okay, sage. Beautiful in a tote. That is staying there. That will go for years and years and years. I did lift this, and I did add in more leaf matter and then put it back and it covered it all back, and that just made it just explode into beautiful flowers. The bees love it. These apple trees, I will not know if they're going to grow apples for many years. These are just seedlings that came up in my compost that I stuck here, and maybe one day I'll replace them. Maybe I'll graft them. Who knows? Truck bed, I haven't gotten to it. Oh, that's another pomegranate tree. It wasn't supposed to be there, but it's there. I tried to pull it out. I will have to cut it out. More aloe vera, see down there? Hummingbirds love that. Bees love it, but the hummingbirds love it. This is going to be done, I hope, by next week. At least a good start. I'm going to take a lot of the weeds out that are in there. Look at all the weeds. And I'm going to put the weeds on the bottom of my buckets because some of them are already starting to get seed. And if you put it on the top, I'll be growing a lot of weeds. So I don't want that. But all these can go on the bottom. They'll just compost in. So I'll put those on the bottom. Same thing with this Swiss chard I don't want. Get as much out as possible, stuff these buckets, and then do what I've got here. Now, I started putting soil in here and piling it up with leaves and stuff. Not soil, just stuff from the ground. And that's, it started growing on its own, but that's what I'm going to do. And then I'll have the bucket sitting in there. And my other pomegranate. I have a papaya under there. One single papaya is under there. And then, of course, this is another, my gosh, they're all over the place. Another pomegranate tree. And this one, look at this. Isn't that cool? It's just full of flowers. Last year, I think I got one. And this year, it's just packed. I don't know if this moringa is alive. I had planted it a while ago during winter, so we'll see what happens. But there is, I can take it off right now. I just have to remember to cover it back. It's still green, so we'll see if the papaya makes it. If not, if I have some more papayas come up, I may put some papayas here. I think that'll be really cool. Chair garden, I haven't done anything yet. Nothing different from what you saw last time. Let's see, what is here that I can show you? I've got the oregano coming up so good. Those are the cuttings I put. I'm going to do it different this year. I don't have to think about dumping containers, about the water. I mean, you think about it. There's already water in all these totes, so I don't need to really be catching extra water. This is going to work fantastic for me. The celery's growing. There's another celery. I should plant something else. There's some lettuce down there. The rabbits haven't found it. I don't even know what's down there. And then I didn't really plant anything up. Look at that. I even put a geranium cutting in here. And there's some Swiss chard. Tomatoes, I did move them in here. These are not my seedlings. These are seedlings that came up here. And these are carrots. I didn't grow carrots in here last year. No, I did not. I moved them. I had a carrot plant go to seed, and I'm moving the carrots. Keep that in mind. This is going to be emptied and gone. This is going to be emptied and gone. This was supposed to be emptied and gone, and now that I'm pulling out all the celery, see the celery back there? The walking onions are taking off. Celery pulls a lot from your vegetable plants. Keep that in mind if you're going to grow celery. Try to give celery their own pot because they do get a massive root, and you wouldn't believe that they're a heavy feeder. So they will pull, and they actually pulled from the walking onions. But now that I got all those tiny celery out, the walking onions took off because it was like, why aren't the walking onions growing? It's just celery. This was another plant I was going to take off, but it's really coming in really good, and Gary loved these last year. So I think I'm going to leave that, freshen this up, get the celery out, and decide which one's going to stay, clean up the leaves, keep an eye on it, and if it looks good, I'm going to leave it on this trellis I made. I know, I hear you. Wait a minute, you didn't tell us how you made. Do you know this is 2 years old and still going strong? Yes, I made those. I will get to it this year. 2 years ago, made those corners, and they worked so good that I didn't have to make any more. I just made a bunch and slipped them on, and my gosh, 2 years old, and who would believe they're still going strong? Isn't that beautiful? So I'm probably going to trellis that up, keep an eye on it, and that will stay. This will go. It's nothing. This is all just lettuce that was in here. Sow thistle. I'm leaving as much sow thistle as I can right now because the hummingbirds use the fluff that comes from the seeds when they open up for nesting, and they're nesting everywhere, the hummingbirds. But I will get most of that out. This is just a transplant. I just threw this in here, so it should, oh yeah, it's already making a comeback. See, all new? It's just garlic chives. And look at the walking onions. They're walking. See how they start? They come from the bottom. Looks like a pregnant onion. Actually, it looks like it's got a disease. It does not. This is a good thing. They start from the bottom and they travel up and they travel and they travel. Oh, this one's already popping. And see what they do? They pop open. Is that cool? This one's going to pop when he gets to the top. That is wonderful. Then you leave them. You don't pull them off. And then as soon as they get big enough, you can pull them off anytime. If you pull them off too early, they still grow. My mother asked me once, can you take them off really early when they just pop? You can, but I like leaving them a little longer. Look at that. See? See how sometimes they start at the tip and then they come up. They're walking everywhere. I'm finding more and more walking. Here's another one walking. Look at this. See? That's the start of it. So this, I'm not sure yet what I'm going to do with it. I want to gut this, and I'm probably going to gut this because I want to get watermelon in here. I want to get my zucchini in here. So this is coming really, really soon, but I'm really excited with this. Okay, let's walk over to my box garden. I am quite pleased. I have lots of ideas for my box garden. Those two plants are zucchini from last year, and I don't know if they'll wander. Those are just plants that are coming up seeds on their own. Look at this beautiful Swiss chard. See this? Don't forget this. We'll talk about this in a minute. Look how beautiful. Oh, I got a squash plant back there too. See this? These leaves are going to be massive. It is feeding off all the matter I put in here. It is not in the box. It is in the ground. Keep a mind on that. Just remember that. Okay, so I've got zucchini. Oh, come on. Did I not label it? I'm supposed to remember this. Probably put it on a video. These two are zucchini. These are true zucchini. And those I do not believe are. Oh, gosh. Do as I say, not as I do. I know they're zucchini. All right, this I just covered for fun because I had the lid out here. I am so happy with this. Now, let me tell you, the boxes won't last long. They're going to decay into the ground. Whenever they decay is perfectly fine. I will get some fruit. Well, you'll watch this year how long they last for. They're all going to last a different amount of time, but I will get some food out of it. In the meantime, it is doing exactly what I want it to do. I am getting soil out of it. Do you know how expensive soil is? I went to the nursery the other day and they had some nice soil and they wanted I think it was like $26, $27, a 1.5 cubic bag. That wouldn't even fill a tote if you did it straight. 1.5. I can't imagine putting that much money out. I couldn't afford it. Not at all. That would be making one container for me, so that wouldn't work. So I'm going to create my own soil. So nothing is a loss here. When I'm ready, if it all falls apart, I'll take the rest of the cardboard, compost that, and go through it. The fencing around here is just stuff that Gary found. There's a piece of wire. This came out of, I think, a refrigerator he found. There was racks. He finds it in the trash, and he put it around here a while ago to keep the rabbits out. Remember the rabbit with the rabbit hole? The rabbits are all over here. Can they jump in? Of course they can. But it's like, why would they? Why are they going to jump in when they can just go somewhere else? Now, if they were desperate and there was no food, yeah, they would jump in, but they don't bother. So it works out really, really good. That's basically it. Now, this is empty. And see what I'm doing in here? I am now filling up the box. And that is what's happening in here. So this is all breaking down. And this is going to fill up all this and create soil. And this is going to do the same thing. These I'm going to empty. So that is going to be moved into that. And then I'm going to have more boxes. My neighbor's walking by.
Hi.
Hello. You need a garden.
Yes, we do.
You need to garden. She can pick all the stuff she wants out of my garden.
Thank you so much. And Simon enjoying the garden.
And off my neighbor goes. Super, super cool neighbors. So as we were talking about, this is what we're doing here. So this I'm really, really happy with. I'm going to take all the soil out of there. And I'm going to start to move it. I want to get more greens in here. We got the whole thing is all that wood. And look, you can even put sticks like this and hold the edges of the cardboard. It's going to break down, but in the meantime, it will hold it in place until everything is set. And I did it on both sides. I did it over there. See these stick back there? And that will work real good. So I'm going to keep throwing leaves in there, and then I'm going to take the soil from here. And this has got a little bit of soil too, and this is just a bunch of walking onions in there. And then once it's empty, I don't want to try to lift it. They're quite a few years old, those. So I'm going to lift it when it's empty. Once it's empty, I'm going to set probably 3 of these Walmart boxes in there. And I'll get something in there. I'm not sure yet if it will be squash or what it's going to be. So we'll see. And about the Swiss chard I wanted to bring up. These boxes are full of all that plant matter I put in there, be it kitchen scraps, wood, whatever, everything, branches is breaking down. And while it breaks down, it's going to create a wonderful fertilizer, plant food, soil in between the boxes as well, because the box is going to start to deteriorate. It's going to leach from the bottom and the sides, and there will be plants growing in between the boxes soon. You watch and see. And they're going to benefit from everything coming out of the box. That's why I want to use the cardboard boxes, because I will be creating my own soil. But in the meantime, I'll be growing all kinds of stuff, and things will pop up in between, probably tomatoes. As a little mouse carries off a tomato, eats it in between the boxes, and a new plant will just arrive. This, I'm going to gut this too and redo this. I'm afraid there might be some roots. I'm going to have to double check. I'm not sure. So I'll know when I get to this. I'm really pretty sure I'm going to take that tomato out because it's growing on this skimpy, dried out stem there. Though it's doing pretty good, and yeah, you know me, I'll end up leaving it. I'm not sure. Now there, I think I'm going to do cucumbers. And this one I'll do tomatoes, and then I'll see what I'm going to put on the bottom. I don't know if I'll give it some lift this time because the soil fell so far down that I felt that the plant needed a little bit more. So I can actually plant in a pot with a big open bottom. That will give the plant lift. See how the onion is? And then it can send its roots in the bottom and refreshen it. The same thing, leaves, branches, anything I want, because a lot of that, the microbes and the earthworms already ate up. Remember that. That's what I said. I have a lot to talk about. You can fill up a tote. Nobody talks about this. A container, a raised bed, a bucket. It doesn't matter. With potting soil that you bought, the best potting soil, and you will not get that many earthworms. You might find the occasional one that will find its way in because maybe a leaf fell off your plant and then it went ahead and started to eat off of that, but you don't have food for it. What you've got is the finished product. You've got the complete finished product as far as gardening. I don't want the finished product. You go, what? I don't want the finished product. These trees, these plants that are growing all over here, all this stuff does not have finished product. The leaves are falling and is constantly building soil. Keep that in mind. Look around. Don't take my word for it. Look around. It is constantly building soil. Let's walk through here as I talk. Well, I actually want to stop at one more place because we're buying soil and then you're filling up your totes, your containers, your flower pots, your buckets, and you're coming back to me saying, well, I don't have any earthworms, or I bought earthworms and put them in there and I can't find them. They're going to leave. Ask your big worm farms. If they're not happy, they have said they will leave. They will crawl out at night and all disappear. If you put something in there they don't like, they're going to leave. If there's no food, they're going to leave. They're not going to stick around and starve. They know, they're smart. They can climb up plastic, glass, cement walls. They will get out. So keep that in mind. I want to grow in the way nature grows. I want to grow in soil, compost, earth, in the way it grows in the wild. I want to grow as it's breaking down. I want my plants to enjoy microbes, earthworms, all that. And the only way I'm going to do that is by composting in place on the bottom and letting the plants do their thing, the animals, everything, the creatures, everything, do their thing. And I think we'll finish it right there on that topic, because I don't want to just do the garden tour and talk about that. Oh, and remember that squash that we pollinated and watched? It took. Look how big it's getting. All it needed was a little loving care. And that was me. See, the one next to it, I didn't hand pollinate, didn't make it. But this one, it made it. And this is still last year's plant that will be going at some point, but not right now. This is a mess. But I am going to do something here. This is the barbecue Gary found in the trash. Yeah, it was like new. He's the one that bent it a little bit in the corner, bringing it home in the truck. We haven't used it yet. I think we turned it on once. I'm going to clear this table off. I'm going through all the branches. See what I collect here? When Gary trims trees, don't throw it away, I told him. Get it for me. Just keep collecting whatever I've got. Soil coming out of other containers. I don't know, and I don't want to get into this, what is going to happen this year. I'm hearing rumors of food shortage. It's another topic for another time. I'm hearing rumors of fertilizer shortage, and that is actually not rumors. I do not use fertilizer, okay? There's nothing wrong with it. I have bought it in the past, but I just don't need it. One day I walked into I think it was a feed store or something. They had a whole bunch of big bags for $2. We bought them, and I think we still have them. The point is I don't need it because I make my own. And that's what I want you to do. Make your own. The best fertilizer, and though you can use almost anything, I have found has been collard. I know a lot of you use comfrey, and that's fine. You want to use comfrey, use comfrey. But the point is, you want to have something as a backup if you want something, fertilizer. I take buckets, that's not one, but there is one down there. And I soak, it's the double system one, the blue and white one down there. I soak leaves. It could be 1 day, 3 days. Put a lid on it, you can leave it for a week. And take a scooper and feed your plants. The collard is the best thing, and I love tree collard. It grows so well here that I'm going to set this whole table up to go ahead and propagate as much tree collard as I can, because so many times the branches are so big and you snap them off and then you compost them. I don't want to compost the branches. I want to start growing them. I don't care if I have too many. I gave my daughter some, and her whole yard is full of them. She wants to take them out because she said she's got too many, and I'm begging her not to, because that's her plant food. That's why her garden is full of plants, because the leaves are falling all over, rotting into the ground. She uses no plant food, and that's what's happening. It's the collard. And here is some stuff I picked up, and I'm going to start getting stuff planted. I've got seeds growing. I want to show you another thing another time on watermelon seeds. Oh my gosh, the tray was full. These are fascinating. I know I don't really want to talk about this, really, but this is a polka dot plant. I have to do a video on this. I went into the store, and they had these plants for like $8, $9. I go outside into the garden department. I really have to make a full video on this. I already planted one, and I'll have to show you how I did it. Let me see if I can show you here. Look at that. $3.48 for all these plants. See how nice it is? I put some soil in here, some leaves and stuff, and I can water this, and in the meantime, I'm making free soil again. Those are houseplants. They only really want shade. They can't take too much sun. So I think that is fantastic. So I'm going to take some, put some in the house, and I'm going to get those around underneath as a ground cover. I know they'll get tall, and when they get tall, they throw a little flower that looks like my emu flower. It's a little tiny long flower. The hummingbirds will love it. But this table, too, will be for propagating. And I want to propagate. And let's get away from that. And again, we don't want to get stuck on one subject too long. I want to propagate a lot of collard. It could be purple collard. This is purple tree collard. These leaves are fantastic. You can throw these in your totes. You can shove them in your totes, make a little hole, shove them in there, and cover them up. This is your plant food. This is all being gutted, so I don't care right now. When I get to this, starting from the eggplant, probably the next one. I'm going to gut all this out. Maybe not the sorrel. The sorrel's doing so good. Want to really gut through this, and maybe not that sorrel. But I want to go through and replant all this. This one I never even planted. So I'm going to go through and do all this, so this will be soon. There's that tote. Oh, the tape came off a little bit. I'll have to redo that. But that's that old tote that cracked in half. I got better ways of covering it now. Wait till you see that. You know, the problem is I've got more ideas than time to make videos. I've got some stuff coming out hopefully next week that I think a lot of you are going to go wild over, because I sure did. So here, like I said, not much is going on. I'm going to go through here and I'm going to just gut it, and I want to get squash and different things. I want to think about what I want to grow. If it's true, and if there's going to be a food shortage, I will tell you right now, as long as we have water, we will not starve. We may not eat the stuff I want to eat. I won't be able to go to the store and get something that's something, special. I don't know offhand, but just using that as an example. But I won't starve, and neither will my neighbors or family. So I don't know what's going to be, but I'm preparing, because whatever I don't use, like look, this one's not doing that well. This is coming out too. I'm going to compost this. This is all compost. That's the thing. Anything you don't eat goes back to your soil. You don't want to just get rid of it. I mean, you can give away a lot, and that's true, but you want to be able to create soil. That's what nature does. It grows, it drops, it breaks down, it becomes soil. So keep that in mind. You want to continue to build your own soil, and this is ready to be soil. I know there's another tomato growing, but I'm going to go through and decide what's what. I am, again, like I said, trying to keep the sow thistle. This is for the hummingbirds and the goldfinches and the bush tits. That's their favorite plant. In fact, I hear a bush tit. This is where the carrots had babies. The seeds fell. I did nothing. And what I've been doing is when I plant something, I come in here. How big and gnarly this carrot is. I just left it. And I come in here and I pull some out and I transplant them. And they've been transplanting really good. And these are carrot woods. I don't want these. I asked Gary if he does. He said no. This is a carrot wood tree, and it's falling from there. Can you imagine? These trees are dropping their seeds. They're going, ooh, this is the perfect place to drop her seeds. See how easy they grow? When plants are happy, you don't have to struggle to grow anything. You got a sunflower that the birds probably dropped the seed in there. The eggplant, I'll have to decide if I'm going to keep this or start fresh. But a lot of this is going, you got an old bird cage? Put a container on top, grow something. I had that full of lettuce last year. These upside down planters that I bought, I paid $2.50. They were $5 half price, but they were selling for like $66. I sell them online for like $100, $125, $150. It's crazy. These legs are plastic. They're done in sections. Look at this one's leaning already. And that's what they do. They're not that great. You've got to make sure that cap is on, because you fill the cap with water. If not, you get mosquitoes. Yes, you can put sand in it, but the whole idea is you can tip it because it weighs a ton. You won't be able to move it if you have a lot of sand in it. It'll be really heavy. But the point is, I'm not thrilled about these. You can do it much better. Go back and look at my deck video. I did it with a TV table. You can use any little table. Bought it at the thrift store for, I think, $4. A lot of you have TV tables around you don't use. You get a container. I got them from Walmart. They're double the size. They're about 4.5 gallons they hold. They sit on there perfect. You can take your plants, and inside, if you had a freeze suddenly, you can start them inside and then put them out on the table. It's much better, and it won't cost you anything. If you have the TV table and you got a dish pan, it's free. If not, so you buy one and you're spending, $10 over 100? I don't even know if they make them anymore. So that's about it. Now we're going to go into the front yard. Let's walk in the front yard and see that I've done nothing but I have moved all the containers. I am now using the soil. This is here because I'm going to use this. I have to do all of this. I'm going to freshen that up, decide what's staying, if anything, and get all these going. Here I know I can grow tomatoes or squash. That I can do that here. Back there I don't know because it's under the shade. The trees are getting massive. They're so big, and they're throwing a lot of shade, which is really nice to come here and sit on a hot day. It's beautiful, except you got to be careful with the pine cones when they fall. You can wear a hard hat. I've got a couple hard hats. But the point is, I don't know how successful I'll be, so I haven't gotten to this at all, as you can see. This is doing really well. It's got a lot of insects on it, but, hose it off really good. Maybe I'll leave that because, again, if I don't eat it, it's the best compost. Even though it's not a purebred collard, it's not a collard tree, what this is a hybrid, and it's still going to make the best compost you can get. So it doesn't matter. There is a purple tree collard that is falling over. It has split the container from the nursery. It's so big. So I want to take cuttings off of this. All these are important, and when they break, I can do cuttings. Trim off all the leaves, and then cut it to about that big, and then start getting, look at all the cuttings I can do of this one and this one, all the propagating I can do. This doesn't belong here. It's in a coffee container. I put a little tiny cutting of a geranium, and look how this took off. This needs to go in my bird garden. And then I've got some red vein sorrel back there, also in some sort of pot. Let me back out slowly. This is just a jumbled mess. I haven't done anything. This got stunted. This is the finger line. And we were looking at it, wondering why it's turning so yellow. Well, we figured it out. Yes, thank you, trees. They sent their roots on the bottom of the pot. So we're going to pull that out and just freshen it up. And I guess that's probably parsley. We're going to freshen it up and get this thing going because these are so good, the finger lines. Look at this. They taste so good. You cut them open and you squeeze them and they come out like little pearls, little tiny beads, and they're so good. Look at that. So Gary got rid of all the roots and it's already starting to flower. See the flower? I don't want to stick myself. This is a nasty that's a little flower starting. So it's a bud. So that's it. Again, plant food or food. This is actually very, very good. What do I do with the tree collard? I make the best coleslaw out of it. I've got the link and I'll do it again. I add in all kinds of stuff. I'm always changing things up because now I'm doing it a little differently and it's so good. But that's what's going on here. I've got chocolate mint growing in the pot. Some of them, look, they're just too tight. It's got to be freshened up. Take it out, split it, put it in 2 pots. You got 2 mint plants, walking onions everywhere. Now, these are not walking. That is very interesting, which means, oh, there's one just starting here. They're probably not getting as much sun as the chair garden. Observe, look around, check out your garden. Here's what happens when they don't get enough sun. They get black fly because it gets too damp. So they're getting too much shade. You can wash all that out and they're too overpacked in there. But see, all the containers are gone. This soil I'm going to use, so that's why I haven't moved it, because I'm going to use this soil. This I got to get rid of. It's a fig tree that came up from seed. I don't want it because I don't know what it will be. And here's another tree collard. And then this is broccoli. And the broccoli, I didn't pick the broccoli, so it went to flower. So that's it. Don't throw your old tool away. We'll talk about what to do with your old tool because old tool is really, really good. Okay, let's walk down here. More geraniums, cuttings that I put around. These are wandering geraniums. Still not sure what I'm going to put in here. I'm almost thinking some flowers. I see a little geranium is coming up there. I don't know if you can see it. Let's see if we can lift this. You know, I'm thinking maybe I got so many walking onions. Maybe I should put geraniums in here. They're not picky here. Here in Southern California, they grow like weeds. They break off, they grow. So if I put some of the geraniums that are not wanderers, these don't wander. See, these wander and leave, and they're spindly, and if you move them too much, they break. Those have a thicker stem. See the stem on these? And these, you just snap them, or like I said, if they break off, they'll grow. Even a leaf falling in the right position will grow. So I might put some geraniums in here. Maybe I'll do geranium and walking onion and do it that way. I'm not sure. We'll see. I'm not getting to that. This is a work in progress. I think you've already seen my short ginger turmeric video. I'm not sure if I'll make a long one. I'll see if you're interested, because all I did was dump it all, harvest it all. It's still sitting on the back porch in 2 totes. There's so much. We're trying to go through and decide what we're going to plant, what we're going to freeze, and then we've been eating it. So I've got all this done. This table is done. This is next. I'm going to do this. And see what I do here? That's what I wanted to show you. Little by little, grab soil from other totes, other containers, other pots. I'm still putting leaves in here. I put wood in here. I'm going to fill up more wood. See what I wanted to show you? See how I put the holes? See the water? The holes are about a ½ inch to an inch up. Same thing here. See the holes down there? See the holes right down there? Even on the hottest day, these containers will have some water in it. So when your plants look so good, and don't worry if they droop during the day, because by nature, a lot of the leaves will droop. They pull their water out of their leaves to protect the plant. And then when the sun goes down or starts to drop and they're in the shade, the leaves go back up, they pull the water back. But in the meantime, they've got water. They can send feeder roots down to grab that water. Of course, this will be all covered. It will look like that. But there will be a little bit of water left. No mosquitoes, no nothing can get to it because it'll be completely covered. But that's why here in Southern California, I put my holes anywhere from a ½ inch to 2 inches up, depending on the container. So many of you have asked me, where should I put my holes? I can't tell you where to put your holes because I don't know where you are. I don't know your climate. I don't know your weather. I don't know where you put it, sun, shade, half shade, whatever. So I can't tell you that. What I can say is if you're in Oregon, Washington, you're getting a lot of rain, put your holes on the bottom unless you're worried about roots. If you have a root problem, then you do want to keep the holes up. But if you're putting them up on a table or something, or on a chair, or bricks, or whatever, and it's containers, and you do get a lot of rain, then put your holes on the bottom. You don't need to retain any water. That's what I'll tell you there. If you're in an area that's a little bit dry, Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, Texas, then give them a little bit of water. Don't worry on the occasional times that you're getting lots of rain, but I'm talking about, like we don't get any rain in the summer. So think about your weather and think about how you want to do it. It's not going to cause that much harm if you did make the holes a ½ inch, even if you're in a rainy area, as long as it drains. That's the main thing. So that's that. So now I've got my stevia. I replanted this one because it was still in the pot. I think this one still may be in the pot too. And now hopefully it's just stevia in there and no ginger. The ginger has the lime green tags from the totes. The turmerics got the orange, and I haven't dumped these yet. These are the black turmeric. So I want to get to that soon. Gary wants some, which is good because I really don't want him. I'm going to keep 2 because I have them color coded with the bucket. I'm going to dump him, plant 2 buckets back, and he can take the rest and put them in his yard. And I still have all this soil. How did I end up with more soil than pots? Well, the big thing is when I go back to replant, I'm not putting the soil back straight. I'm putting in collard leaves. I'm putting in wood. I don't even put kitchen scraps in here. Just collard leaves. That's kitchen scraps. I'm putting in branches. So that's why I end up with more soil, because I've already loaded the bottom. You saw it in there with other stuff. And see, if I want, I get cheap old, that's garden soil, cheap old garden soil or potting soil. And then I can put that on the top if I want. I didn't put any here, I don't think. Maybe some of them? I don't think so. It's here if I need it. Maybe I put it on the stevia. But the point is, you can use potting soil on the top. But a bag like that, that's 2 cubic feet, and it's the cheapest one. I think it's about $15. It's going to go for a long ways because I'm only putting that much. This is a nightmare. This has got turmeric in it. See the pink? These were the skins, and they're all full here. Absolutely full in here. It's going to be a nightmare to get out because you can't tip it. This was wonderful. I just tipped it and I got to just fish everything out. I can't tip that thing. It's too heavy for me to tip. I started to dig a shovel. I went through the turmeric. So I'm going to go through there gently with some gloves, get everything out. And I don't want to plant turmeric anymore in a tote. I'll find something else to put in there. Maybe some more stevia. Maybe I'll put some of my little freckle plants, the polka dot plants in there for looks. And figure out something, lettuce even I can put here. So we'll see, but I want to put all my ginger and turmeric in pots or containers or buckets that I can lift and tip in my wheelbarrow. Now I want to be able to dump it, go through it, and that's it. All right, let's go into the bird garden now and see what is going on in here. So part 2, we're going to continue on in my bird garden, into the rainbow garden, and then I end up wandering into Gary's garden, and we get to see some special treats in there that I didn't even know was there. So join me in part 2, because believe you me, you didn't want to sit for 2 hours. Bye-bye, and have a wonderful day, and don't forget to eat what you grow.